Ganamurte Ganamurte Venu Ganamurte Shri Krishna Venu Ganamurte Shri Krishna Venu Ganalola Tribhuvana Bala Pahi Ganamurte Shri Krishna Venu Ganalola Tribhuvana Bala Pahi Ganamurte Shri Krishna Venu.
Welcome back to Raaga Rasika, a podcast program that explores the world of Carnatic music. Joining me here, once again, is Vidya from Albany. In the last episode, Vidya, you mentioned the word Gamakam or oscillations. Talk to us a little bit about Gamakams or oscillations.
So oscillations or Gamakams, they're also known as quarter tones or semitones. They are a very, very unique and a very important aspect of Carnatic music. So the easiest way to illustrate them would be to sing the scale of Kalyani flat without any of the Gamakams, and then I will sing the same with the Gamakams. Sa re ga ma pa da ni sa. If you were to try to play the scale on your keyboard, that's how it would sound. If you add on the Gamakams, sa re ga ma, to illustrate the ma of Kalyani, when you give it flat, it would be ma. That is, give ma given point blank in a very flat way. But you would be hearing that very rarely in a Kalyani Alapana or a Kalyani song. 99% of the time, the ma would be given with Gamakam. That is, it would oscillate between the pa and the ma. Ma. So there is an underlying note here. That is, when you say ma, you are not just singing ma alone, but you are actually oscillating between the pa, that is the next higher note, and the ma. So that is perfectly allowed in Carnatic music, and it is in fact, like I said, one of the salient aspects of this form of music. How you oscillate and what are the notes between which you oscillate would really depend on the grammar of the particular raga. And Kalyani, one of the reasons it is accepted as one of the most major ragas is that all the 5 notes, Re, Ga, Ma, Da, Ni, in this raga can be given Gamakams. Typically, you never give Gamakams to Sa and Pa. They are called Achala Swaras, Swaras that don't take Gamakams. And in Kalyani, it so happens that all the remaining 5 notes have a lot of scope for Gamakam. Sa, Re, Ga. So the Gamakam here is given. I start the Ga actually in Re and then I go to Ma before I even touch or land in Ga. Ga, Ma, Pa. Again, Pa is never oscillated. Pa is given flat, or you can occasionally give glides or curves. Da. The flat Da would have been Da. Again, in Kalyani, Da, Ni. Here I am oscillating between Sa and Ni to give Gamakam to the Ni.
Vidya, talking about Mohana Kalyani, if you have fewer notes, how do you accommodate for the lack of notes, especially when it comes to beats and things like that? Do you keep coming back to the same set of notes? Or obviously the more notes you have, the more variety you have. Is that not?
See, that's actually an excellent question, and the answer is pretty complex. See, at a very fundamental level, the more notes you have should mean more scope, but it is not always necessarily so, because you need to look at 2 things here. One is the number of notes. The second is the relative frequencies of the notes in a given raga. So if you take a raga like Kalyani, the notes are so spaced. Almost all these notes can be given Gamakam. So in Carnatic music, the scope is not only determined by the number of notes in the raga, but also how many notes out of the total can be given Gamakam in that particular raga. So if you look at some of the other Melakarta ragams, like for example, there is a raga called Kanakangi, which is the very first Melakarta ragam. It has the lowest Re, lowest Ga, lowest Ma, lowest Da and lowest Ni. So that raga is a more academic raga. It has all the 7 notes. Let me sing the scale of Kanakangi. Sa ri ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa ma ga ri sa. So the spacing between the notes in Kanakangi raga is such that the Ri and Ga are very close to one another, and the Ri is very close to Sa as well. Likewise, the Da is very close to Pa and also very close to Ni. So when notes are very closely bunched together, it is very difficult to give Gamakams. So if you oscillate the Ga of Kanakangi, you will be touching the next Ga, which is the Sadharana Gandharam, which is not there in Kanakangi. So you will be making a mistake. So Kanakangi is a good example of raga which has all the 7 notes but has very limited scope. So a raga like Mohana Kalyani would have a much better scope for elaboration compared to a raga like Kanakangi. But it would be less than a raga like Kalyani or Bhairavi or any of the other major ragas.
Based on just this conversation, it's occurring to me that there is another subtle rule in the way you're presenting ragas. Rule number 1 is how many notes are there in a raga and which notes are missing. Rule number 2 is the oscillations in the notes themselves. And rule number 3, maybe I should ask you this question, is there some sort of, you cannot go from this note to this note in the ascending way, but you can go from this note to this note in the ascending way? It seems like you're saying something like that.
The Arohanam and Avarohanam is typically like a guideline to help a student understand how that is supposed to work. See, having said that, there are lots of ragas where there will be so many exceptions to the Arohanam Avarohanam that the Arohanam Avarohanam will not really give you a complete picture of the raga. But Mohana Kalyani is a simpler raga that way, because the Arohanam and Avarohanam pretty much defines the scope of the raga quite clearly. So when you have Sa Ri Ga Pa Da Sa, so it's quite obvious that you cannot sing Ga Ma Pa, because the Arohanam sequence or the ascending sequence, it clearly illustrates that you can go from Ga to Pa, but you cannot sing the Ma in between.
Sure. Yeah, but when you were talking about Mohana Kalyani, for example, you were mentioning you cannot go, you could go from Sa to Ni, but you couldn't go from Ni to Sa, for example.
Yeah, see, that's again, if you look at the scale, Pa Da Sa, so the ascending sequence is only Da to Sa.
Oh, got it. Okay, so...
But then I must caution the listener or you, I must caution most listeners that it's fairly easy to understand this in Mohana Kalyani, but there are tons of ragas where the scale will only add to the confusion, or the scale will only provide a very skeletal picture of the raga. So this is a good example for a beginner to understand the idea. But as you get into more complex ragas, there are going to be a lot of things you can understand or pick up only by listening to several different compositions or several different concerts featuring alapanas of that raga.
This is fascinating. Vidya, why don't we do this? Let's stop here and pick up again next time where we left off. To learn more about Vidya, visit her online at vidyasubramanian.com. Write to us at raagarasika.com. That's RAAGARASIKA.com. Thank you and goodbye.
கண்ணன் ஊதிடும் வேகுழதானடி காதிலே அமுது உள்ளத்தில் நஞ்சு பண்ணன் ராமடி பாவையில் வாட பாடேதிடும் அவ்வளே தோழி எங்கிருந்து வருகுவதோ ஒளியாவல் செய்குவதோ